we will continue. Defense, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We will call Colleen McKernan. Okay. Colleen, please state your full name for the record.
Colleen McKernan.
And Colleen, where do you live?
I currently live in Perry Heights with my grandmother.
And do you have other family support here with you today?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And where does the remainder of your family live?
They live in upper state New York.
Where'd you go to high school?
I graduated from Perry High School
What year did you graduate, Colleen?
in 2006.
And upon graduating from high school, what did you do?
After I graduated, I went into the United States Air Force, and I served a tour for 4 years.
Why did you want to go to the Air Force?
I wanted to serve my country, and I wasn't ready for college immediately after high school, so I decided to serve, and then I went to college afterwards.
And where were you stationed?
First, I was stationed. I went to Incirlik, Turkey, and then from there I went to Dayton, Ohio, and I was deployed from Bagram, Afghanistan.
And Colleen, what was your particular career field in the Air Force?
I was security forces.
Did you have any significant relationships while you were in the military?
Yes, I did. I met Giovanni Piero, and we were engaged when I was in Turkey, and I broke it off when I was over in Afghanistan. And I also dated Matt Walker for approximately 2 years when I was back in Dayton, and we moved to South Carolina together.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt for a second. Could you just scoot your chair? I don't know if you're already as close as you can, but I just need you closer to the microphones. I see my court reporter leaning forward.
I'm sorry, is it not loud enough?
Yeah.
This was, I think, Dr. Eisenberg's.
No, he got it.
Okay, I was just afraid of my.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think, Colleen, we were talking about the relationships that you had in the military. Were you able to hear her? Or?
Yes.
Okay. Do you keep in contact with either of those gentlemen today?
Yes, I've heard from both of them over the years as friends.
And did you serve all 4 years in the military?
Yes, that was my contract was for 4 years.
And after the 4-year service, what did you do?
Matt and I, we moved to South Carolina for a brief time. We ended up breaking up, and I moved back to New York, where I ended up going to college full-time, and I rejoined the Air National Guard.
And what were you going to college for?
I graduated with my bachelor's in business management and leadership.
And just so the jury has a time frame, Colleen, approximately what time frame did you earn your bachelor's degree? What time frame?
It took me about 2.5 years. And I graduated in July or June of 2013 with my bachelor's.
Perfect. And after you obtained your bachelor's degree, what did you do?
After I was done with college, I then moved back here to Massillon, Ohio, and I started working at Synchrony Financial. When I moved here, it was GE Capital.
And when you moved back to Massillon, Ohio, who did you live with?
Oh, I briefly lived with my grandma, who I'm currently living with today.
And you obtained a job at Synchrony Financial. What was your job?
When I started there, at first I was a representative on the phone, and then when I completed working there as an escalation specialist.
When did you meet Rod McKernan?
in October 2013.
And how did you meet him, Colleen?
I met a girl that I had graduated with, Kelly Bonfont, and her boyfriend, Alex Vidovich.
And how did you know Kelly Bonfont?
We graduated from high school together. We didn't really keep in contact over the years, but when I moved back, we became close again.
And you met Rob through Kelly. Can you describe the first time you met him?
Yes, he had come over and was hanging out with Alex, and that's how we were introduced. From there, we became Facebook friends, and then we exchanged numbers, and we started talking.
When did you become exclusive with Rob?
Ms. Mills, if you could just get a little closer to your microphone,
Sorry.
that would be helpful too.
I apologize. I'm just not a great podium person, so
And
I
that's
drift.
fine. You can angle the mic away a little bit, maybe,
Okay.
but I just wish you'd stay a little closer because it's hard to hear folks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. When did you first become exclusive with Rob?
He had asked, me to be exclusive with him right before I left for my 6-week training with the military.
And just so the jury's got a time frame, when was that approximately?
I left for Texas for the Air Force in September. I'm sorry, November.
So in November of 2013, when you became exclusive with Rob, what did you know about him?
He was working for his dad, who paid him cash, and he was a father. And I knew that he was having issues with the mother of his child at that time.
Had Rob been in the military?
Yes, he had. He served 3 years.
And in November of 2013, where did you go for your training?
I went to Shepherd Air Force Base. It's called ALS. It's Airman Leadership School. It's mandatory to put on your sergeant's stripe.
And did you continue to speak with Rob every day while you were there for that training?
Yes, we did. We communicated every day through text, and I would call him and talk with him.
And during those communications, what did you learn about Rob?
When we were talking, I was asking, fact-finding questions and, just getting to know one another. And I asked him if he had ever been arrested, and he explained to me that he had been arrested for domestic violence more than once.
Objection.
Sustained right now, counsel approach. I'm going back that the objection is overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Colleen, how did you feel once Rob had told you that he had prior arrests?
Well, I was taken back because I had never dated someone that had this type, who had had the police called on him by other women. And so I didn't know what to think of it, and of course it freaked me out. And I took some time, and I ended up accepting Rob's explanation, and I chose to trust him.
Okay. And after you chose to trust him, did you talk about your relationship becoming more serious?
Some time had passed because I had been gone for about 6 weeks. And I was at a point in my life where I graduated college, starting a career. I was looking to get married. And I was looking at houses before I even met Rob to buy one. So we discussed, where our relationship was going and what we were going to do moving forward.
Did you have any savings in which to buy a house, Colleen?
Yes, I had been saving for a couple of years, with that in mind, after graduating to do that.
And after the six weeks of training, did you return home?
Yes, I came back here to Maslin.
And if my timing is right, that should be sometime around the holidays.
Yes, it was, I had missed Thanksgiving, and then I was back in time for Christmas.
Did you spend any portion of the Christmas holidays with Rob's family?
Yes, it was one of the first times that I had met them.
And which portion of the holiday did you spend with them?
I was with them on Christmas Eve.
And who all was present from Rob's family during that Christmas Eve celebration?
We went to his father's house, and his father was there, his son was there, his mother and stepfather came. There were some aunts and uncles. That was the only time I met them, so I don't recall their names.
And did they buy you a Christmas present?
Yes, his mother and father gave me a case of bullets.
Is that the same case of bullets that we saw in this courtroom that I believe Mr. White discussed?
Yes, it's the same.
And when they gave you those bullets, what did you do with them?
I put them away. I lived with my grandmother, so I know I put them in a drawer or something.
Did you ever at any point in time put those bullets into a gun?
No, I never loaded those bullets into my gun.
Do you own a gun?
I do. I own a Glock 26.
Right. The Glock 26 that we previously saw in the courtroom.
Yes.
And all I have to do is press this button there. Jeff, do you need to turn anything on, or should I be capable of doing it myself?
There you go. You got it.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. Colleen, can you see that on the screen?
Yes, that's the gun receipt.
Okay, and approximately when did you purchase that gun?
Well, the receipt is for February 28, 2010. I bought this gun with my ex, Matt Walker.
Okay, and do you have your CCW?
I do. I obtained that right before I was honorably discharged from the military.
Colleen, when did you get engaged to Rob?
We were engaged in January of 2014.
And did you purchase a house?
Yes, I bought the house, the 1753 Oak Trail, February 2014.
Can you see that on? Maybe it's just my monitor that's pink. Can you see that, Colleen?
Yes, this is the deed for the purchase of my house.
Okay. And was it your money that was used then to purchase this house?
Oh, yes, it was.
And when did Rob move into the house?
He moved in right away. I waited until after we were married, and I moved in April.
And what date were you married?
We married April 24th, 2014.
And where were you married?
We got married in Hocking Hills. It's a state park.
Did you have any disagreements with Rob over any wedding plans, any individuals that should be invited to the wedding, anything like that?
Yes, Rob originally didn't want his family to attend the wedding, but I wanted, at least his mom and his stepdad to come, so they came, and his friend Mitch came.
Did he ever describe to you why he did not want his family there?
Due to his past upbringing.
Objection.
Objection. Ladies and gentlemen, you will disregard that last question and last answer.
After your marriage, Colleen, did Rob treat you any differently than he had during the engagement phase?
When we were engaged, we were doing construction to the house and remodeling. There's, some disagreements that you would find to be normal, but after we were married and when I went away, it's like I became a possession. He was insanely jealous when I left for the military then.
When's the first time, Colleen, that you can recall that Rob said anything to you that you thought was inappropriate?
Being in the National Guard, we're required to go away once a year for training, and so I went away to Michigan in May. So about a month into our marriage, it was only for a week, and Rob and I, talked obviously every day, but he wanted me to go straight from training to my room. When you go away on these trips, it's a team building trip. It's where you get to know the people you would deploy with. So, you would go and play softball together, go and work out together. You didn't want me doing that. You wanted me going directly to my room. And I didn't, and I said no. And he called me incessantly one night, over and over and over again. When I talked to him, he was calling me a whore and a slut, accusing me of cheating on him because he knows how military men are. And I hung up on him.
And so you hung up on him when he was calling those names to you. When's the next time that you had any contact with him?
It was the next morning when I read text messages from him that he was going to kill himself because I wasn't responding to him. So I ended up calling him, worried, of course, and we talked, but I had to go to training. We ended up talking when I got back because he picked me up from my training in Mansfield. It's about an hour drive back.
When you saw those text messages of him threatening to kill himself, did you believe that he would do so?
Counsel, can I object? I need to have you. Can I have you here? regardless of whatever, whether the objection was sustained or overruled, I'm just going to let you begin from this point forward.
Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Your Honor.
thank you.
Yes, I'm prepared to do so. Colleen, did you know any friends from any prior military events that you saw during that week you spent in Michigan?
Yes, when I was in Michigan, the unit from Niagara Falls was there with my unit from Mansfield, and I had been with them for a year previous to that, and I went to Hurricane Sandy in New York City with them, so I knew them pretty well. And I was good friends with a girl named Deepa Scully. We called her Danny, and yes, so we were good friends.
And were there any other incidences during your marriage in which Danny came up?
Yes. Danny and I we talked and texted to one another, and she was saved in my phone as Danny. And there was a night where I was sleeping, it was like 3 a.m., and Rob abruptly woke me up in the middle of the night screaming who was Danny and accusing me and saying that he knew that I slept with someone when I was away.
And how did Danny spell her name?
I spelled it in my phone, D-A-N-I.
Okay, and did Rob think Danny then was a male?
Yes, he did think that she was a male, and I had to show him her Facebook for him to calm down.
So you were able to show them that it was a woman that you had been communicating with?
Yes.
Colleen, can you describe for the jury the very first time that Rob was physical with you?
Yes. We went out with a group of people. We went to a place called Lobies, and we were dancing. I was with Kelly and some other girls and her boyfriend Alex, and I was dancing with my husband and trying to have fun and hang out, and he grabbed my wrist and pulled me close and told me to stop dancing like a whore because he didn't want the other men looking at me, so I stopped. On the way to the next bar that we went to, which was Lou's, he had wanted to meet up with other friends. That's why we left Lobies, and we were arguing on the way back, or on the way to the next bar. Kelly and Alex were in the back, so they were sick of hearing us argue. We parked, and they left and went into the bar. And we stayed out, and we were arguing, and I was loud, and he was telling me to be quiet. He wanted the cops to be called, and I wasn't quiet, so what he did is he grabbed my face with one hand and then wrapped his hand around the back of my head, so it was like this, and pulled me in close to him and was whispering in my ear to shut the fuck up. And I tried to push him away, but I couldn't, and he didn't let go. And so I ended up punching him in the face by wrapping my arm around my fist around his arm, and he shoved me to the ground. And instantly was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And he put his hand out, and I let him help me stand up.
And after you got to your feet, Colleen, what did you do?
I went right into the bar. I was upset, and I told him leaving that I'm going to divorce him.
Had you ever been in any type of abusive relationship prior to this event that you've described?
No, I've never had a man hurt me or push me.
And did Rob follow you back into the bar?
Yes.
And then what happened once both of you were inside the bar?
He kept trying to talk to me, and I didn't want to speak with him, and I just wanted to be over it. I didn't want him to talk to me, and my friends were sick of us fighting, and we were having one night, so I was trying not to be like an inconvenience to them. Rob ended up leaving, and he ended up walking back to our house.
And then how did you get home, Colleen, from the bar?
Alex ended up driving my Honda Civic with Kelly in the car, and we ended up picking up Rob.
And did Rob get in the car?
Yes.
Was there any conversation in the car after he got in?
No, it was dead silent.
And then did you go home?
Yes.
Colleen, during your marriage, were there any times that
that Rob asked you to call off any of the training that you had?
Yes, there was a time where in the guard 1 week in a month you have to go in and do serve your time. It's the requirement. So there was a time where we had Bentley that weekend, and Rob went out, and he came home and was livid because he had a confrontation with Bentley's mother. And he told me that I had to call off from going into my military service because there was no way that he was going to give Bentley back to Jessica. He would not speak to her. He would not stay and see her.
Did he tell you he would hurt her?
He did.
Objection.
Sustained. You will disregard that question and that answer entirely, gentlemen.
Colleen, were you going to school during this time frame that you were working at Synchrony Financial?
Yes, I ended up going back to school. I wanted to get my MBA.
And which school were you attending?
I ended up attending Walsh University.
And how did Rob feel about you attending school?
At first he was supportive, but once he realized that it was going to take time away from him, he would argue with me and become upset that my schoolwork was taking time away from him.
Did the two of you arrive at a compromise then on the time that school was taking away from you?
Yes, I was trying to avoid the fighting, and he would be home at random times because he worked 24/7. So we came up with he was on call 24/7 for his job. And we agreed on a timer. So I'd come home from work and I would have X amount of time to do my homework or to study. And so that's what our compromise was.
Okay, and was there ever a time that the timer went off but you were not finished with your schoolwork?
Yes, there was. I was working on a pretty difficult project and I was in the groove. The timer went off and Rob wanted to leave. He wanted to go and do what he wanted to do. And he was, hey, the timer's done. And I'm like, can I just have some more time? And he flipped out and he was screaming and yelling and stomping his feet and, talking about how and why the fuck I need to go back to school. And that was a waste of time.
Did he slam anything around?
Yes, he was having a tantrum. He was like banging around, yes.
What about your job, Colleen? Did you and Rob have any discussions about how he felt about your employment?
Yes, I had a couple of different roles when I worked at Synchrony. I was accepted into the leadership program, so we did rotations where I'd be in different positions. One of the positions I was in was called Training NCO, where I stood in front of a class and trained new hires with the guy that did it permanently. And so what I wore and how I looked, and I'd wear more makeup, was different. And Rob would ask me, I don't know why you have to dress up to talk on the phone, and he would become upset. He didn't like me talking about my coworker, and he would accuse me that I was like sleeping with him. I had an attraction to him, and he's married, and has kids. It wasn't anything like that.
How did he feel about you spending any time with your coworkers?
Really, it wasn't just my coworkers, it was anyone. If I made plans, it was impossible to know if Rob would be home or not because he was on call 24/7. If a plan landed when he was home, he wanted me to drop those plans and be with him only. And I went out with a coworker, and Rob got really upset and refused to come pick me up. That's when we only had one car. My coworker ended up having to drive me home.
What about friends? Not just coworkers, Colleen. How did Rob feel about your friends?
He
Objection.
Sustained the question, Ms. Mills.
Thank you, and I'll rephrase. Did Rob ever tell you that he did not want you to go out with your friends?
Objection. Leading.
What did Rob tell you about going out with your friends?
he did not like me hanging out with Kelly Bonifant specifically, because there was many reasons of why, but he drove a wedge between us and impeded on our time together. Same with my girlfriend Amelia. He didn't want me with her. He thought that I would cheat on him if I was with these other women.
As to what he thought, Shauna.
Sustained as to what he thought.
What did Rob tell you about you going to the gym to work out?
In the military,
I'm going to sustain it.
Colleen, did you and Rob have any discussions about you going to the gym?
yes, in the military, we have a PT test, so I have to maintain, physical readiness. And so I would want to work out, and Rob didn't want me going to the gym without him. He didn't want me getting up and running without him, and it would cause arguments. And I stopped going to the gym with my girlfriend Kelly, and I didn't go to the gym with him, with Kelly Bonifant after I was married, ever.
What kind of animals did you and Rob have?
We adopted 2 chocolate black labs and a kitten.
And what were the black labs' names?
Their names were Scarlet and Ray. And the kitten, her name was Penelope.
And who generally took care of the animals?
I did.
Was there ever any time during your marriage, Colleen, that Rob threatened to hurt the animals?
There was multiple times that he threatened to hurt the animals. He was very jealous of the dogs because they would greet me when I come into the house, and he wanted to be greeted first. So he didn't like that. And there was a time when I was coming home from work, and I just wanted to stop and see my grandmother. I called him and told him I was stopping. And his response was, you better come home. I don't know if your cat will make it. And I was like, what does that mean? So of course they went home. And when I got home, the cat was fine, but he acted like I didn't exist. Like, I tried talking to him, but he wouldn't respond to me.
With some of the things that you just described going on in your marriage, how were you feeling?
How was I feeling? It was confusing because we were newlyweds, and I had all these expectations of how I thought marriage would go. And, I wanted to keep the peace, and I was very sympathetic and compassionate towards Bob. And, I didn't know what to do. I tried talking with him and compromising with him, but it felt like no matter what I did, there was always an issue.
Did you have any discussions regarding divorce?
Yes, I did threaten to leave him multiple times.
And when you told Rob that you wanted a divorce on those occasions, how would he respond?
It would depend on the circumstances, but he would threaten me, he would threaten animals, he would threaten to ruin property, to damage my car, to rip out the floors he put in. He taunted me and said I wouldn't be able to keep him out of the house. He could just break in.
I want to talk about November 13th, 2014. Did you work that day?
Yes, I worked at Synchrony Financial today.
Okay. And what happened after you got home?
Rob wanted to go out, and I had to work in the morning, so I didn't want to go out, but I was like, okay, fine, as long as we just, come home early. And so we went out with our neighbors, Mike and Abby, and we were hanging out, and it was getting late, and I wanted to go home. And Rob wanted to go to a bar, and he wanted to go to another bar, and an argument, and finally he gave in and was like, fine, we'll leave. And so we got into the car, and he was screaming at me and yelling at me, and was slamming me into the side of the car, and I was trying to stop him from doing it, and he was taking his hand into the side of my temple and banging my head off the side of the window. And I ended up calling 911 in the car. And I dropped my phone, so I wasn't able to talk to them. I was trying to hide the phone from them so we couldn't see it. And I dropped it when he stopped. I was able to grab my phone and get out of the car. And he ended up leaving.
Your Honor, at this point in time, we would like to play the 911 call.
Counsel, approach. It's going to be one of those mornings, ladies and gentlemen, where we're going to be up and down a little bit. So we're going to be up once more. We're going to take, it is also 10:20. We will take our scheduled morning break at this point, and we will have you return to the jury assembly room at 10:35. We'll collect you at that time to come up to continue. Please, again, in any break, the admonitions always apply. Do not discuss the case among yourselves or with anyone else. Do not allow anyone to discuss it in your presence. Do not form or express an opinion on the case until it is finally submitted to you. We will see you back here in approximately 15 minutes.